So apparently Simon Jordan insists that West Ham fans have overreacted to the news that Daniel Kretinsky is becoming West Ham's major shareholder and basically running the club, taking over from Sullivan. Doesn't surprise me, Simon Jordan having another opportunity to stick the boot in at West Ham. I haven't watched it yet. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So I'm looking forward to seeing what nonsense he comes out with.
I'll put it to you, Kretinsky. What might a Kretinsky-controlled West Ham look like? What, foreseeably, might we see change?
Well, that assumes that he's been passive over the last however many years that he's been involved. And I would suggest that he hasn't been. Now, obviously, there's an opportunity to start building up. I never felt that he was going to be a minority shareholder. He already had significant influence at 27%, because one of the...
I will say this on whether he's been passive. Now, I think with his initial purchase of the club or purchase of his shares, I think there was a significant amount of money that was injected in when he bought those shares that he was able to use. But, you know, Sullivan's still been the majority shareholder and the chairman. So, you know, a lot of the poor decision making, you know, comes down to this. Only seems to be really this season where we've seen him really push, you know, for what he wants. Like, look, for good or bad, I think he apparently wanted Brady to say he didn't get his way on that because she knew what was coming out, of course. But he wanted Nuno to stay and he got his way. And this was before Sullivan stepped down. But yeah, I wouldn't say that he's been clearly a part of the problem. You know, he's been a minority shareholder. Same as Trip Smith, you know, he's had a bit more money than a bit more of a share.
Things that you have is if you have 50%, you have control of the business. If you have 75%, you have ultimate control of the business, which means that anyone below 25% is a shareholder for a shareholder's sake to some extent.
Right.
So he already had 27%, which meant he had significant influence over the way that West Ham's finances would be dictated, over extraordinary circumstances about what they might want to do to refinance themselves, to reboot themselves, or whatever it is. So I would assume that there was already this influence, and his influence has been involved for some time, and it hasn't made a material difference to the way that West Ham has operated. Now, David Sullivan...
Again, like you're minimizing him because he had 25%, so he could have an influence. Now, how much of an influence can he have? Like, he can say, you know, well, I think we should sack this manager. I think we should sign, you know, not be signing this player. We should spend this. Like, at the end of the day, it's been the Sullivan show. And from what I understand, what I remember hearing at the time is Kretinsky didn't want to invest his own money in if Sullivan wasn't investing his own money in, which makes complete sense. You're not the majority shareholder of the club. Why should you go and invest money and Sullivan's not going to go and do his bit for the club? But either way, I just feel that's a bit of a disingenuous argument and it's not based on anything. You don't know what decisions he has or hasn't made or what influence he has or hasn't had. So to just say, well, he's got 25.7%. So, you know, all the stuff that West Ham fans have hated, he probably, you know, had some influence over. I think that's just a weak argument and a poor attack.
Stepping down. David Sullivan didn't have to step down, as Alex Cook was alluding to the other day. He chose to step down for reasons best known to himself because of the circumstances involving his personal life.
Although he still has a 38.8% share in the club.
Right. So he has a massive shareholding in this football club. So with that in mind, David can still have a significant influence, despite, I should imagine, the relief and all of the ideals that they were finally getting rid of the people that we loathe so much. David Sullivan, Karen Brady, and, you know, with due respect, the Gold family as well. You know, I was very friendly with Jacqueline Gold. I had a great deal of regard for David Gold. Didn't always get on very well, but respected him notwithstanding that.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I always felt this fellow was going to be the controlling influence, both economically and literally in the longer game, because otherwise, what was the purpose of it? He's got the wealth to be able to do it, and now is the time, perhaps, to do it, because West Ham are in distress. They're out of the Premier League. You can't attach the same values to your shareholding as you once did previously, which is perhaps the reasons why he's able to acquire the shares that Vanessa had. And build himself into a position. But I don't know, the man's a billionaire. Of course he's a remarkably successful man. I don't think he's made a great fist of our post office since he's acquired it. And of course, under his shareholding, under his investment, which I don't think has been passed.
Well, listen, from the post office thing, from what I understand is he's not popular so much with the staff. You know, someone I know does content. He works for the post office. He works for Royal Mail, and it's just he's been a hard-nosed businessman. You know, he's made that the staff that have shares or dividends or whatever, they've had to cash it out. You know, and so he's not been popular because he's been saving money and cutting costs, but he's turning the business around and stopping it hemorrhaging money. So, like I said, you make a throwaway comment like that, and you make out like he's been like incompetent and doing a terrible job just because of, you know, people at the staff are unhappy. And listen, I'm not sitting here going, oh yeah, it's brilliant what he's done, but I'm just saying it's stuff like that. And I think the thing is with Simon Jordan, from my conversation with him last year, one of the ones I went on, and he put it to me, he's like, oh, so you'd be happy then giving up like English ownership for like foreign ownership, and you just want to see foreign ownership come in and take the Premier League. He's got a real bias, an English bias, right? Especially when it comes to ownership. And look, I get it. You know, with the English Premier League and the days where all the clubs, owners were English, they had ties to that club, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, fans just want what's best for their football club. And if that person is from the Czech Republic, Saudi Arabia, China, America, England, it don't matter. We don't give a shit if you do right by our club. I don't care where Sullivan was born or Gold was born. I don't care where Kretinsky was born. Like, Gold and Sullivan did terrible, terrible damage to this football club. So, and they're supposed to have been fans of this club. So this bias he has of sticking up for the English owners, you know, and attacking the foreign ownership, I think it's ridiculous. But I think that's a big part of it, because I don't like David Sullivan, but you've got to stick up for him because he's British. You know, I think he was born in Wales. You know, so that's where I think that's a big part of it.
Since he's acquired it, and of course under his shareholding, under his investment, which I don't think has been passive, because we've already made the case ourselves that apparently he was the intellectual capital behind Nuno Espirito Santo staying against David Sullivan's wishes.
Right.
So he's already influential.
Yeah.
But here they are in the Championship. For all those West Ham fans, it's anybody but Sullivan, right?
Mm. He did ask me that. So is anyone but Sullivan? And I was like, yes. In this case, it's not better the devil you know, because the devil we know is a fucking disaster and would take a gamble. And I don't think you can get much worse than David Sullivan out there. I'm not saying that there's no one worse, but I think the odds are slim. We just want a proper businessman and someone who runs this club properly and seriously.
Might well be something that they feel is a benefit to the football club, but he won't alter the stadium. He won't change the logistics. He bought into a football club that had all the rancor from the fans.
If I swear to God, if these reports are true about Kretinsky altering the stadium, improving the stadium, I swear I will get back on this show with Simon Jordan and I will rub his nose in it. I've got this now. We will all remember it, because there's been massive reports coming out. And listen, until things are happening, until any of this stuff happens, you know, I take it all for a grain of salt. But there have been a lot of reports that he's using Brady's plan she drew up to improve the stadium. Now, I think he's going to have to buy the stadium to do it. But if he does do it, mate, and if he does go on to build a new stadium or knock down this stadium and whatever he does, he's going to eat his words. And again, a lot of things he says are just based on feelings, you know. Like he just throws at it. And look, that's why he's successful. If, you know, you can't sit on the fence. You have to sort of say things with your chest. And he says things with his chest. And look, I think he's good at what he does, Simon Jordan. I really do. But I just think he speaks with such confidence on things that, you know, he doesn't have all the information. He hasn't done all the research. And I think that's, again, we're seeing another example of it.
Change the logistics. He bought into a football club that had all the rancor from the fans. So I don't know. I don't know the man's personality.
I mean, he's saying that the goal is to, in a joint statement, the goal is to stabilise West Ham, retain as many of the key players as possible. He might be the difference. He might be the difference, no, between Jared Bowen staying and Jared Bowen going.
Well, he won't, will he? Because the PSR situation is going to be very significant to them because they're carrying down, whichever way you cut it, however you slice and dice it, they've got a challenge coming down. They've got a challenge because someone's got to pony up some money. That's the first thing to bridge the gap, which he may well be prepared to do.
There you go.
The second thing is they've got to meet financial obligations with budgetary requirements.
So it will be a difference then. You've answered your own question. You said he won't be a difference in Jared Bowen staying because we've got PSR issues. And then you just said he has to bridge the gap by investing his own money. So if he invests his own money significantly into the club, then that's a difference because we have less of a need to have to sell Jared Bowen. That's a difference. If he wasn't coming in, taking over and investing this money, we would have had to sell pretty much everyone we possibly could sell. He puts in, say, that 90 million that we've got to raise by the 30th of June. That's huge. So how can you say he's not going to make a difference to us keeping Jared Bowen? This is what I'm saying. He's just going on the attack. He's just going on the attack. He always wants to have a dig at West Ham and our fans because we were ungrateful with an English owner, British owners. You know, we complain too much. We're ungrateful. That's all it is. He just wants it. We can't have anything positive. This is the first bit of just good news we've had in so long. This is the most I've been able to smile about my club and have some hope. But he can't take it. He can't let us have it, can he? He can't give us a grain of optimism. And he just contradicts himself like he has there. It's ridiculous.
Down. They've got a challenge because someone's got to pony up some money. That's the first thing to bridge the gap, which he may well be prepared to do. The second thing is they've got to meet financial obligations with budgetary requirements to the championship. So with all that in mind, if he manages to keep Jared Bowen, it's not beyond the wit of man. I kept Andrew Johnson, who was in the England team when we got relegated, so you can do it. But I would suggest that it's against the likelihood. Maybe Danny Dyer's got more chance of keeping him because he's married to his daughter.
But I mean, is it music to the ears of West Ham fans that Kretinsky...
The media will never get over the Danny Dyer thing. What was that game? We played one game. I can't remember what game it was towards the end of the season. And the camera kept panning to Danny Dyer constantly. I think it might have been the FA Cup game against Leeds. And they just kept showing, they kept showing Danny Dyer the whole flipping game. The media's obsession with Danny Dyer is crazy. He's become like a global superstar now, and I remember he was just in a few sort of half-decent English films back in the day. But again, it's just he just talks in circles, contradicts himself because he's trying to make a point and he's trying to make it negative, and he doesn't really have a lot to back up what he's saying.
He understood to be planning to provide additional financing to the club.
Is it music to their ears? Yeah, because
can that only be positive?
No,
because it's not Sullivan, right? If Sullivan made the statement that I'm going to provide additional funding to the club, they go, get out. We wanted you to burn at the cross. But in this instance, this guy he's part of a management team that was involved with David Sullivan. That was involved with all the people that they loathe. Now, whether he's going to change the direction, I don't know what stabilise means.
The thing is that comment of if Sullivan had said it, we don't have any means to trust Sullivan, and we don't have means to trust that he's going to invest it well. And when has he ever invested his money like that? I think that's also is that over the course of how long has he owned it? 15 years since he's owned the club. 16 years. He's invested £15 million net. David Sullivan. So again, you're making these ridiculous hypotheticals. If Sullivan did it, well, he hasn't done it, has he? He hasn't invested his own money, put money in his pocket. This guy that's coming along is now taking the reins and taking charge and taking leadership of the club, is saying he's going to stick his own hand in his pocket. He has been there, yes, but he has not been his club. He's just making disingenuous argument after disingenuous argument. You see him thinking, when he puts a question and go, well, that's music to fans' ears. And he's like, yes. Because he's trying to sit there and think of a way to spin it, to knock us, and to make it into a negative. The bias is so obvious. It's mad.
They loathe. Now, whether he's going to change the direction, I don't know what stabilise means. They have to get out of the championship. That's not a place for West Ham. You've got 60,000 fans that attend that stadium. And whilst there is a lot of vitriol towards the ownership, and I understand some of it because they've said and done silly things and they didn't bed the stadium improperly and all of this sort of stuff. And I'm never one to defend Sullivan or to the late David Gold or even Cowan at times, because
he's never one to defend Sullivan. He never stops defending Sullivan. I've never seen someone that defends Sullivan so little defend him so much. Try and work that one out. Try and work out that flipping conundrum. That's Jerry. Every time he says it, he says it. He says it and it defends him the next breath. He said it to me on multiple occasions. I'm in a position where I have to defend David. I never defend David Sullivan. Defends him all the time because he's a British owner.
And I'm never one to defend Sullivan or to the late David Gold or even Cowan at times, because there's no great love lost there. There's respect, but not like great love lost.
Right.
So this guy here, his job, his sole function in life is to get West Ham out of the Championship at the first available opportunity. Keeping Nuno, I think, is probably a wise move. Unfortunately for me, that grotty little locust that you hang about with Barry Silkman was absolutely right, that it would get relegated under West Ham.
Barry Silkman's a good lad.
No.
Please.
We're very experienced football agent who's at the heart of many deals and a nice man.
Vile.
Thank you.
Anyway, the question is now, can he capitalise on the momentum?
That's probably the first thing that Simon Jordan said in this video that I agree with.
That he built at the back end of the season, because it's unarguable the last 10 or 15 games West Ham punched harder than the first 23 or 20 odd that he was in situ. So they go into the Championship with some momentum. Who are they going to keep? Who are they going to lose? I would be surprised if they keep Bowen.
Okay.
But if they do, fair play to Jared.
So I just honestly, like, do you know what? I do this and I'm like, at the start, I'm like, okay, there's a few things I'm commenting on. It's probably not going to be nothing that really gets me animated. And as it gets in, oh my God, I'm getting rattled, mate. I'm getting rattled. So much just misinformation, just misleading. So this is why, like, so many of these rival fans have these misconceptions about us as a fan base, because they listen to crap like this in the media that they're put out, or the stuff that's just not knowledgeable. And it's all, everything he says, it's a twist. There was no upside to Sullivan leaving and Kretinsky stepping in. No upside in his opinion. Again, nothing to look at anything that he's done elsewhere. No real research. It's just how he feels. It's just bias, to be honest with you. To sit there and go, oh, him investing money will be music to fans' ears. And then to go, well, if their Sullivan did it, they'd be up in arms. Well, he hasn't done it. And he didn't say he was going to do it anyway before he had to step down. And he wouldn't have done it. He would have sold every flipping player he could. He would have sold everyone. No two ways about it. No backbone. So, look, could it all go wrong? Yeah, of course it could. Like Daniel Kretinsky is no sure thing. He's no guarantee. But it's hope. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a chance of something new from what we've had. We always said it. Sullivan ran this club like it was still the early 90s. You know, we need someone that's a proper businessman who can give us a proper infrastructure. You just slated Barry Silkman and all that, you know, that was someone who was massively influential in our club. Because that's how Sullivan did it. He did it with his favourite agents, his little mates. And that's how we did transfers, that's how we did business. No real plan, no real structure. Even when he tried to do that, bringing a director of football, he had to interfere. We just need a businessman in charge of the business, put the football people in charge of the football. Simple as that. There's no way anyone can spin this into a negative. There is no way. He's doing that be careful what you wish for crap with Sullivan. Okay, you could do it with Moyes, whatever. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. You cannot do that with Moyes. You cannot do be careful with Sullivan. Be careful what you wish for. He was a disaster. And all this stuff all these accusations in his personal life, you can't dismiss that because it's another thing that embarrasses us. Another thing that he's got into, he's a clown and should be nowhere near a football team. He weren't allowed to be anywhere near the women's team or the youth team. And you think he should be anywhere near a professional top-level football club? I don't know what you're defending. And he don't mention that, does he? It's just West Ham fans are unhappy with Sullivan. I don't see what Kretinsky's going to do. He was with Sullivan. He was part of it. Again, it's a fresh slate for Kretinsky. He's in charge now. End of. So, look, we look forward to it. Hopefully, a lot of this stuff is true. But actions speak louder than words. That's my thing. So, with Kretinsky, I'm going to allow myself to be hopeful, optimistic, because I haven't felt that way. I was miserable weeks ago when we got relegated because we're in the championship with Sullivan. We could go down again. But I'm going to enjoy it. Look, he may not live up to everything he says, and we'll hold him accountable. We will be there. See people say, oh, well, they'll turn on Kretinsky. If Kretinsky doesn't do right by the fan base, it's right for the fan base to hold him to account. There's no sense of, well, Sullivan's out, so we've got to be grateful for whoever comes next, whatever they do. No. Football fans hold the owners of your club to account. You've been here long before them. The football club has been here long before all of us. So make sure they do right by it. Simple as. I'm not going to have anyone else try to make me feel bad or the fans feel bad for wanting the best for our club and demanding that someone gives their full effort to do their best for the club. So listen, thank you all for watching. Like I said, I've just been relaxing a little bit after a long season. It's my birthday Friday, so like I said, I'm just taking it a bit easy and then we'll get back in and really do more of this stuff. So thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you hopefully if you come and tune in for the England watch along with West Ham Fan TV.